was a good night for Democrats in certain ways. They picked up governorships, state legislative seats, and most significantly, majority control of the House of Representatives. However, Democrats lost several Senate seats, and in fact, Republicans may have as many as 55 Senate seats. And as a result, it's something of a draw.
It is amazing the degree of interest we saw in the midterm elections in 2018.
One of the big takeaways from last night's election returns was the very high rate of turnout among young voters. Demographically, they're much more diverse. So what we may be seeing there is the emergence of a young voter bloc that's going to move through the electorate with this kind of a different view of the world than very old voters, which is significant.
Some of it certainly, I think, reflects the fact that people who are coming out to vote, I think we'll find out, are not very happy with the president, and typical midterm behavior is such that those who are more upset with the president tend to turn out the best compared to people who are for the president.
The women's vote was very important, and the fact that so many women were elected to Congress this year was very important. Women voted Democratic in this election, particularly college-educated white women in the suburbs have an agenda that's different from their male counterparts.
The election results mean a little bit less for foreign policy than they do domestic policy. However, it does create a big change in a lot of ways, that there's going to be more meaningful and more robust oversight of Trump's foreign policy. If we think of some of the issues with the Trump administration pulling out of the INF Treaty, of withdrawing from the Iran deal, the House Foreign Affairs Committee, maybe the Intelligence Committees as well, can look into this and the reasons for this and force administration officials to testify to those reasons. So we shouldn't expect a fundamental change for foreign policy, but we should see Congress exerting itself quite a bit more.
I think they mean for the Affordable Care Act what they mean for pretty much everything, which is just basically more of the same. The Republicans failed to repeal the Affordable Care Act and replace it with something else. They now are going to be stalemated on the Affordable Care Act. In a way, it's actually good for President Trump politically, because now he will have somebody to push back against, and when he doesn't accomplish something, he will be able to instantly look to the Democratic House and say, it's those guys. They're the ones who are stopping me from doing the right thing.
The midterm elections provide some early insight into what to expect in the next presidential race.
President Trump put himself on the ballot in a lot of ways, so it was kind of a referendum on Trump, and it didn't go as badly as a lot of people had predicted with that being the case. At the same time, it showed that President Trump lost a lot of support in some key areas, especially suburbs, especially with women.
I think that the big lesson from last night's election for the Democrats was that the country does not want somebody from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party to be president. If you're somebody who has sort of the political views of Joe Biden, you're going to be in better shape running in 2020 if you are running against Donald Trump than if you are Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders.
President Trump tweeted that it was a good night, right? It's presenting this as a victory. Certainly the Republican Party did well in the Senate, but this is at best a mixed message. And how the White House responds, if history is precedent, will be to focus on the aspects of the message that were have been most positive for the president.